I'm Barry Gough, biographer and historian, a lifetime member of the Maritime Museum of British Columbia. And I want to read from my book, Possessing Meares Island, and talk specifically about Wickaninnish, Chief Wickaninnish. Regarding Wickaninnish, he had two places of residence. One was at Wickaninnish proper, which is on the south side at the southeastern entrance to Clayoquot Sound. And he had a larger and permanent residence at a place called Epitsat, or Opsat, on Meares Island. Now, Wickaninnish, we have a good description of him. He was a robust and good-looking fellow, advanced a little beyond the prime of life, Meares thought. He was an imposing figure. Meares was to find that he lived in a state of munificence much superior to any of his neighbors. His name means having no one in front of him in the canoe. In other words, he was the number one person. Like McQuina, Wickaninnish made all arrangements for trade, and he consolidated and enriched his position, for the maritime fur trade brought him unimagined wealth, thus increasing his esteem and influence among his people. He was good at manipulating trade between and among foreign vessels, and in so doing, the price of furs rose, and his profits increased. Further, situated as he was in relation to inland nations, he served as an intermediary trader. He prospered on that trade also, marking up the price of goods for those coming within the orbit of the new coastal trade. It could be that he surpassed McQuina in wealth and power during the period discussed in this book. In fact, Lieutenant Peter Puget of George Vancouver's expedition made bold to style Wickaninnish as the emperor of all the coast, from the Straits of Fuca to the Charlotte Islands, i.e. Haida Gwaii. Wickaninnish and McQuina were closely related, and I could go into the details of that, but we'll have to jump over it now. Wickaninnish was the one that Meares sought out because he was known to be the great trader, and he came into Port Cox, or Tofino Harbor if you wish, and gave trinkets as a gift offering. The canoes came off from the shore, bringing with them the furs, and the trade was fast and energetic. Now, Wickaninnish had promised to guide Meares into those treacherous harbors, but it was a careful thing to do, and the First Nations didn't always understand how deep the hulls were of the European and English ships, so care had to be taken in dealing with these things. In any event, when he got to the house of Wickaninnish, he found it was a magnificent place with capable of housing 4 or 5 families. There were magnificent timber posts at the entrance to the house, large roof coverings, a central fireplace, various stages around where people would lay and sleep and so forth. There were also heaps of fish, seal skins filled with oil, and a fire burning under a vast vat for the making of whale flesh stew or broth, that delicious beverage. The house was magnificent, the roof supported by trees of a size that would render the mast of a first-rate man-of-war, that is a battleship, diminutive. Such a lovely comparison. The visitors entered through a decorated door on which was displayed a huge image, and inside stood the raised platforms, and uniformly arranged human skulls festooned this royal apartment. Wickaninnish, the supreme host, made every attempt to make Meares happy, and he was successful, for these two headmen, as it were, made a compact that the one would collect skins and the other would return during the next trading season, so as to make in a prize cargo reserved for him. This was one of the first recorded contracts of trade on the northwest coast.